Thank you very much, Perry. Too kind. Hello, everyone. Yeah, my name is Reza. I'm working for Deutsche Telekom, which is a telco operator, actually the largest in Europe. T-Mobile is one of our brands also here, operating in Austria. I must say, I was invited to a fashion conference and was speaking at a fashion conference yesterday in Berlin. And apparently, I got so excited with all the fashion around me, I forgot my glasses there. So you didn't have your luggage here. I don't have my glasses. So in case I look weird to the monitors, because I hardly see anything. Yeah. So, and I was asked to speed up so that we have some time for question. And I'm presenting for the first time this type of content. So I have a couple of challenges, and let's see where we get there. I want to do two things today. One is to give you a couple of insights on our Telekom study on the future of work, on the future of HR and leadership. I keep that short, and you can download that entire study. And by the way, you get also the slides. And number two is then one of the key implications of the study, and where we are at in a company is what does it mean for an organization, which is for a large corporation when it is planning to go agile. This is not working. Okay, fantastic. So this is the entire study, and I'm going to skip that and only give you a glimpse of a couple of selected trends. Again, you can download it and then have a deeper look. Digitization is all over the place. There is hardly any work, any business industry, any area in life which is not affected by digitization. And I'm going to talk less about technology today. Perry, you know, which I know what other presentations you're referring to, but today the focus is on Agile. Giving the opportunities that technology brings in, economies of scale, and having a large-scale organization isn't the only competitive factor. You can go global, you can become a global giant with digital technologies if you play it right. So size does not matter. In that light, and this is the important, and for later if we go into discussion about Agile, one of the key findings of the study is that size and how you deal with failure culture are kind of related to each other, which means the smaller you are, the more your leadership style is closer to the employee, the better you cope with failure. The less you have a corporate culture which is hostile towards failure culture, and where you actually go into reverse processes in preventing culture. So there is a connection in that, which means also the better you are in failure culture, the more likely is your turnover when it comes to innovation and innovative products. On the talent side, we see that talents select their employer by their purpose. What is my mark in this world? More than ever before. So the subject of a corporation being a society builder, being a nation builder, actually has never been out. That's the purpose why corporations have been set up 150 years ago, but it's rejuvenating. And talents do select corporations based on this factor more than ever before. Which then leads to the point that talents stay loyal to their purpose, which means they change the employer if they think the identity of that corporation does not fit with what they have in purpose. So that is important if you're in employer branding, in employer value proposition, that loyalty of a talent depends on what is their inner drive and their purpose, less what are you telling them on branded slides, what is our purpose of the company. And if you do it, it has to be a co-creative way how to engage with the employees to keep on, what is happening in the area where we have the fight for talents. What accounts for employees, we see and we observe this is becoming bigger, and remember me in 3 years, that the same apparently applies in leadership, that we have rotation on a leadership level where experts move to leadership level and move back. So HR challenge is going to be, how do I cope with leaders that go back into an expert role to reskill their capabilities with regards to digital, and how can they, let's say, be treated in a way that we keep our workforce cost, that some sort of fringe benefits might come and might go, how can we keep that flexible and so on, which is becoming one of the utmost critical queries when large corporations go agile. And gig leadership also refers to that, again, leaders stay loyal to their purpose and have a higher turnover in moving from one leadership position to the other, be it in one company or the other one. Which has some indications on leadership development. Which means, what is it that the academic world, what is it that leadership, executive education is offering to organizations and to corporate leadership when we have these types of trends ahead of us with regards to purpose, to digital transformation, and other stuff. I'm going to be very quick on the definition of agile. And I do assume some have some sort of understanding. In essence, and where it comes from, it means we're changing how we go into production mode. From release planning and from waterfall models into different ways. And by doing that, there is an implication that the culture is changing, that the leadership style, which is behind Agile, is a different one, and the way of working that is required to go into iterative and Agile planning is different to the traditional way. Simply, let's say, for logical reasons, because you're assembling a product in a fundamentally different way. Sorry, this clicker is, I need a couple of clicks. So, an Agile can be applied on various levels. Can be applied on various levels, either on a project level, on a product or team level, up to an organizational level. And there is no right, no wrong. You can, if you are a startup or scale up, you might go into the outer rim and start your business planning, your organizational model, your operating model in an agile way. If you're in a corporation, you may not have this opportunity to disruptively transform at scale from the outset. You need to do it in different steps, which means you would probably start with one project phase, or with one entire project, and so on and so on. Our recommendation and our way, how we currently do it, is actually we have everything in our corporation in all the different countries and functions. Would I advise corporates in a textbook style, and there is no chief financial officer who asks you go agile and save 20% OPEX? I would recommend really from small to big, because there is the learning curve. For that reason, it implies what is the role of HR in in agile transformation, because we have to rethink it. Is our performance management, be it annual, be it continuous, be it quarterly, is that what agile teams require? Is the classical way of selecting leaders and having a succession management based on let's say, performance of the past rather than potential for change of the future? Is that the right way to select leaders? Is our learning portfolio suitable to train people and to educate people? Is education in Agile actually enough? Or do we need to find ways of informal learning and on-the-job learning to make Agile applicable in the real business context? And these questions and many more questions have led us to the point to admit we are not good in HR to be prepared for the Agile transformation. We need to rethink our portfolio, and we need to realign our existing HR offers to what business needs when it goes towards Agile transformation. This is where we came up with this framework, which we call the Agile Compass, to give us orientation. Where do we want to go? Where are we today? And what's our approach going there? And we have distinguished this compass into 6+1 dimensions. So business purpose in the core, because Agile is not ends, it is means. And then tried to adjust the key areas of HR into 6 categories. And The interesting thing is, I'm coming to that later, how do you apply that? So org design means some new assumptions. Agile is typically coined with lean hierarchies, working in a network-like organization where teams are staffed based on competences, where the collaboration of different competence teams is essence, and how do you deploy it in your organizational structure? What types of responsibilities are in the team? How can I support by structure agile working if I go agile at scale? In the people dimension, what is it that HR can provide with regards to feedback culture? How do I deploy my performance management? I assume if you are a medium to large company, you are working on some sort of core HR system or a global centrally working talent management suite. Are these systems suitable for Agile? I can tell you, hell no. So that means that you run into the situation that you as HR provide a global performance management process, whereas your Agile team is setting up a shadow performance management system on their own. Is that what you really want? And what is the business impact that we can give with our HR stuff? So we have to align it and at least think about it. How do we bring these worlds into alignment? In the area of way of working, so new ways of working, something where I'm extremely happy that HR is taking this subject now seriously, or lots of areas. So what types of team engagement formats do I have? How do I manage collaboration? How do I embrace and implement the concepts that are coined with new work into the work environment? How can I make use of agile methods and operating models? This is then this block. And by the way, very important for me and our finding is Agile is going way beyond IT development, way beyond IT-based product development, which means Agile cannot be equated with Scrum. Scrum is a fantastic method if you know what you're up to do, and the more it is in the IT area, it works fine. The moment you leave it, you need some sort of, let's say, you need some shades of Scrum, which are more going towards Agile project management. If you are in a conceptual area, you cannot start working Agile and in sprints if you don't know what is it that you do. Scrum tells you doing the things right, but it doesn't tell you doing the right thing. This is where you need service design or design thinking first. This is where you need to expand the universe of methods and find for your company and for your business purpose, for your project, the right approach and how to compose different methods as easy as possible. This is why we refrain from setting Agile means Scrum, means on an organization and operation level to go into the safe model scaled Agile framework wherever we want to apply it. This is what we are not doing. In the area of work environment, it means it is great if HR has now a creative space and you are engaged with your facility management and designing new workspaces. However, it has to fit to the way of working. So redesign of workspace, introduction of mobile working, introduction of desk sharing policies. At the same time, giving space to project teams where they need to meet is, I can tell you, one of our biggest quests when it comes to OpEx impact. Because on one hand, we want to foster digital and over-distance working. On the other hand, Agile methods require space where people come together. So how can we manage that without building additional workspace, which is a fundamental re-questioning of the usage of workspace. And our key takeaway is moving away from standard workplaces up, and so decreasing this one, increasing the number of creative spaces, project spaces, team spaces. It has a lot to do with tools. If you're based in Europe, Not every third-party tool is allowed to use. That has heavy implications on your Agile teams and Scrum teams working in a legal mode, or is it already in a gray zone? And how can you as HR give some sort of legal stability to the teams by providing guidance to the usage of planning, testing, and collaboration tools? I skipped the governance for time reasons, leadership and mindset. So what is it that we want to provide leaders? Because it's a fundamental change for leaders. We have actually two role models. One is who's responsible from a disciplinary point of view and taking care about people development, and who's the visionary leader who's taking care about the product and the business approach. So we are contemplating with this concept, what does it mean if we have these types of two tracks? What does it mean for design criteria or search criteria for filling the talent pipeline? And what does it mean for leadership development to bring it in a corporate context? And we as a corporation go into global leadership development. So how can we give one global identity to our leadership team? How can we promote one leadership culture? And at the same time, we are operating in this ambidextrous world, so we have core business and we have new business. Core business, let's say, staying more or less in a traditional way, new business going agile, whereas a lot of things from the leadership and mindset area can be easily exported to the core business area. There's nothing wrong in a core business to think about empowerment. It doesn't harm your core business if you embrace the ideas of employee experience and other stuff. So these are some things, and this compass is now has been operationalized, so there are how-to guides behind the compass. There is one central enabling page. We are in close alignment with the HR development area when it comes to training and to respective development areas. And the interesting thing is, how does business apply that? And that's the interesting part. Every business unit takes its different track. There's one business unit that starts with setting up a creative space. So they start in the work environment area, gain the experience, then they see, okay, the space is not enough, we need working methods. Apply that on a project, on 2 projects, 10 projects. Then they see, okay, we have impediments, we have hurdles. We need to think about governance. They go to the governance area, gain the experience there, and then they adjust structure and redefine their leadership culture. There are other teams that start with org design. So restructuring into a flexible, agile organization, then training the people in the people area, applying that, and on the go, educating the leaders. Our IT division started first with leadership and mindset to give an understanding about systemic thinking, about agile development. So they put a lot of emphasis on the leadership part, then applied it on a couple of projects, now going into the restructuring part and adjusting that to the HR processes. So every unit kind of understands every dimension holds true, and sooner or later, your work in agile transformation is affected and you need to apply these areas. And this compass, therefore, gives orientation to business leaders, but furthermore, to our HR organization. Because now our HR people, and we are enabling, our vision is to enable every of our HR business partner in the organization. And now the HR business partner know, and I can tell you, they are not agile experts. That's not their role. But they understand if we go agile, it's not enough to hire a Scrum manager. It's not enough to set up a creative space. We need to be aware that the total transformation journey will encompass all 6 dimensions and all the questions behind it. So it gives them orientation. They asked even for more guidance. So can you be more strict? Usage of tools, usage of methods, outline of the room. So this is where we now experimenting, can we scale it up? And for the scaling, so these are a couple of examples for the scaling. We try to standardize as much as possible. This is the paradox. So we talk about agile, innovative, finding your own way, and at the same time, standardizing, which means we are trying to define micro standards, which then can be configured for each and every purpose. The starting point is to have a self-assessment, so along the 6 dimensions to assess where am I today and what's my target. And out of the self-assessment, we can derive what is your journey. You should start with leadership, you should start with work environment, you should start with ways of working. These are the typical 3 ones we would see people to start. We go social and digital, so whatever is an enabling and whatever we can digitize with regards to enabling the organization is being made digital through video-based learning, through our learning platform, through manuals, now going into gamification and VR-based applications and other stuff. This is the concrete example how we have enabled the HR business partner organization. So from going over our social media page, up to newsletter, up to monthly calls where we invite Agile experts from within and outside the organization, up to then having a path for, okay, I need to know the basics, up to the point, I as an HR partner, I have to become an Agile expert to be able to give an on-eye consulting to the business leader I take charge of. So what does it mean for HR? We are now starting in applying an Agile operating model also for HR. And I see few other companies which are true role models for me. They said, okay, the Agile journey, we don't start with IT. We don't start with product development. We start with HR. Because then these people can better consult and they have the applied experience. So application of Agile in HR is key. That means to be open to really reflect what is it from my current HR portfolio, learning, performance management, talent management, leadership development, up to employee, regular services, what is it that holds true in the Agile world? And by the way, we have areas where it's not to reflect only HR, it's also to reflect in what type of legal framework are we working. That's a different story. But it means from a mindset of HR to be ready to kill your darlings. Because Agile and digital are changing things. And this is probably the toughest part. In particular, let's say where it's really critical and where we see a changed behavior, changed demand, quality of demands reaching to HR is in the area of org design, where now organizations really ask for how does a large-scale agile or flexible organization look like? How can I deploy chapters, tribes, and squads in my organization? What is the role model and leadership model behind that? And as I was mentioning, if you work, okay, I know Austria is easygoing. If you work in Germany and in northern countries, welcome to co-determination and labor law. Thank you very much for your attention.